Yes, indeed, folks, it's the illusion of choice. And what a corker we've got for you right here. I've not had a chance to read this post at all, so I'm going to go entirely blind on this one. Here's the introduction for you. It's from Zulkin of Senjin, and he'd like to give a quick shout-out to his guild inebriated on the Senjin Horde side for getting an ICC 25-man Lich King kill and making our way into hard modes. Congratulations, you've got past some of the boredom, and now you've got the slightly harder boredom. And he says this, "Hey, TB, I was wondering what you thought of this forum post made on MMO Champion. It's about this guy saying that Wrath was much better than TBC and Vanilla. For myself, I was just wondering what the hell this guy is talking about, with 90% of his information incorrect. I would love to hear your take on this post. I'm sure you would. And I'm sure it is in the spirit of constructive criticism, of course. I wouldn't insult someone like this. Don't be absurd. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a nice guy. I like to help people. I'll help them jump down a well if they would like to do that. In fact, I would encourage them to do so. Alright, okay then. Let's have a look. I have posted this in the channel for your delectations. Let's read it. Accents may be applied. We shall see. Why Wrath of the Lich King is the best version of WoW. It added a lot to the game. It's an expansion pack! Of course it added things to the game! What did TBC have to offer? TBC gave us arenas. Yeah, of course, arenas don't matter. Arenas weren't any sort of significant addition to the game. One battleground, poor story progression in the content, unless you played Warcraft 3. Right, so in other words, poor story progression in the content, unless you played the story! For God's sake! So, unless you paid attention to, oh, I don't know, the story, then the story progression was really bad. So, in other words, the story progression in Wrath is great because they just made a bunch of shiz up that you didn't have to even care about Wrath of the freaking Lich King or Warcraft or anything along those lines. It's like, hey, we're just gonna put this in here for the sake of it. Look at this, it's Ulduar. No mention to this in any of the other games whatsoever, but yeah, old gods, Yogg-Saron, Titans, nonsense, rubbish like this referred to in absolutely nothing at all. But yeah, isn't it a great story? God damn. What are you talking about? Slightly better specs. Right, okay, so you're saying that specs are better in the expansion content. TBC improved specs by giving us more abilities. Yes? Shadow Priest still hated life. What? Are you serious? TBC? I'm almost speechless. Guys, who was Shadow Priest in TBC? Did you hate being a Shadow Priest in TBC? Hell no, you didn't. You got given this unique ability that suddenly made you one of the most desirable raiding classes in the entire freaking game. Oh yes, obviously, Shadow Priest had it rough back in Burning Crusade. Am I right, guys? And the beginning of the Care Bear Alliance and Horde Hippie talk. I have no idea what you're talking about. Honestly. At all. The heroics were not that great, trust me. No, I'm not going to trust you, because I did them all, and they were great. I started somewhere between the start and middle of TBC. Oh, in other words, so you started it when the heroics weren't as good as they were at launch. Right, okay, so you're crying about that then. I wonder what you're actually crying about. What you're actually crying about is I started in the middle, and not many people were doing heroics anymore, because, you know, they were actually raiding, and it was really, really hard. Oh, for God's sake, you got to get in there and got the key via Honored, and so it may be, even if you joined at the right time, you didn't have to attune at all! God! Whiny crybaby right there. This is obscene. I'm not even half the way to a paragraph. There's 8 paragraphs of this crap. I'm not going to get to the end of it. He is so incredibly wrong. This is the most concentrated, pure, unadulterated, toxic wrong I have ever seen in my life. If you drank even a drop of this, pure, concentrated, unadulterated wrong, you would keel over dead. It is the most deadly poison of the mind, which has invariably inflicted this guy. I've read 4 sentences, and I'm already barking mad. So, the heroics were not that great, so he says. Trust me, I know, because I'm a scrub that started halfway through TBC. I know what TBC was like. Bullshit. If you want a small 10-man guild, you got 2 raids. Yeah, we get the idea. Okay. 10-man raiding wasn't viable. 25-man raiding wasn't all that viable in vanilla either. What's your point? Things change. Big deal. I tell you, I will take Zul'Gurub and Zulaman and... Well, in fact, Zulaman, Karazhan, and I'll take Zul'Gurub and Anchorage over a lot of the instances we've got right now. Yes, indeed, separate 10-man content instead of repetitious versions of the same thing. That's terrible! Someone alert the media! Dear God. If you want to do 25-man content, you had bland-looking instances like SSC and TK. Oh yes, bland-looking instances. If you saw one room in Mech, you saw all of the Eye of Tempest Keep. What, you mean like Vault of Archivon, for instance? Or, let's see, the raid instance, which is one room in Wrath of the Lich King! Freaking TOC! Let me guess, this guy probably hasn't even done that, has he? He isn't aware of the presence of that bloody instance. How can you say that? Are you insane? Yeah, those instances were really boring, ignoring the fact Wrath obviously had the best and most original and diverse raid content. Let's ignore the fact that, 1, we've got 1 instance per tier, which means you say the same damn thing week in, week out for 6+ months. And we have 1 raid instance, which is a single round room. You can't be serious! God! You saw all of Eye of Tempest Keep. It's called a theme. It looks similar because it's part of the same instance. That was the point. The instances were themed together with their own coherent storylines. That was kind of neat. I liked that. Liked it more than we've got right now. Tell you that for a fact. If you saw 1 millimeter of any heroics of SSC, you saw all the canon. No, you didn't! You've never been in there! No, you did not see the whole frickin' thing if you went into 1. God. Talking out of your arse. Seriously. Hyjal was my favourite because it had fun. Hyjal was the worst instance in here! How can you be this wrong? You can't be serious. I love Hyjal, which is nothing more than a green hill with a tree on the top. And you're complaining about the other instances looking the same. It's a green hill with a tree. With waves that look like old mobs because they are. Reused models. Every last one of them except for Archimond. Yes, Archimond, that's what I'm talking about. God, I assume in my mind it's sort of a mental association aside of Rorschach test. It's like, reused models. What's the first thing you think of? Vault of Archivon. How could you possibly? God. And then he goes on, he saw all the canon. Hyjal's my favourite, and didn't try to be the greatest thing ever. Just like TOC, actually, if you think about it, minus the trash, of course. Yeah, TOC is the worst thing ever, that's why. BT bore me to death on my 3rd run. What? BT's such a diverse instance with great bosses in it. I liked how Sunwell led into what we're seeing now to Wrath of the Lich King in terms of story and the start of phasing. Except it really didn't, did it? At all. I thought Gruul was a good guy. He helped me... Oh, shut up. Next paragraph. I'm not even going to get to the end of this. This is absolute garbage. What did Wrath of the Lich King give us? Well, that's simple. Heroics that at gear level offered the promised challenge. What promised challenge? There isn't any challenge. There isn't even crowd control. You could AoE the entire thing. You could AoE the entire thing when you start it. I did it in next gear. I did it pre-next gear. No crowd control required in any of those instances at all. Don't tell me it's just because we overgear it now. That is not the case. I remember back in the day when we did those heroics, and no, you did not need to be overgeared. I was still wearing blues. And we pounced our way through it. We steamrolled the damn thing, albeit a little slower, because hey, we don't have the damage, but hey, easy enough. Man, has he even said a single thing that is right here? Instances added periodically so people who started mid to late in the expansion pack wouldn't be screwed over. What instances? What, the 1-5-man that took, 8 or 9 months to come out? And then 3 more, about 3 or 4 or 5 months down the line? That's not added periodically, any more than adding the 10-mans into TBC was periodic. Adding the, whatever the hell it was called, that thing over on the Isle. Yeah, that instance. You know what I'm talking about. Instances were added periodically in TBC as well. raiding as well. That's the point. Indeed, they added multiple instances. Screwed over because you started late? That's bollocks. It really is. There were so many pugs available. There were so many guilds who were just starting out. It was very easy to sort yourself out because all you needed was 10 people to get yourself the gear that you need to go into SSC, for God's sake. For God's sake, some of the Karazhan gear was better than the stuff in SSC and TK. God. I think Malygos was more epic than Vash or Kale. That's because you never did Vash or Kale. Anyone that actually believes that is a freaking idiot. Oh, for God's sake, Malygos. Phase 3, one of the worst design encounters in the entirety of the game's history. Awful in almost every way. Illahu, you've never been there. Phasing was a great success. Really? Where exactly? We've seen it maybe 2 times when it's really been used. It was used over in the Wrathgate. Yes, that was a great success. No, it wasn't. The quest that was attached to it was bollocks. The phasing was awful. It was really bad. Didn't work half the time. And for God's sake, if you got stuck in there and bugged out, you wouldn't be able to see anyone for days. Yeah, the phasing worked really well in there, didn't it? Oh, and of course, outside the Wrathgate. Now it changes into fire and screaming. Constant screaming for months. Which makes no damn sense. What's the point in phasing when all you're going to do is flip it from one static scene to the other? A one static scene makes even less sense than the other. The fires wouldn't have been burning for 3 months. You wouldn't have screaming people for 3 months. They'd have gotten over it by then. I for God's sake, that's not post-traumatic stress. That's nonsense. Old War was godly. Okay, you got one thing right. Yes, it was. I loved how OS was the easiest and hardest raid at the same time, except it wasn't. The hard mod OS was pretty hard, and the others was easy. VOA was a fun addition. No, it wasn't. Wintergrass was a fun addition. No, it wasn't, because for 6 months, Wintergrass, indeed longer than that, made it impossible to do any raid content. But it's a good job, because there wasn't any worth doing to start with. To be honest, I think that was a ploy. Like, Blizzard. Damn it, we need to get some new raid content out. The guys are absolutely demolishing it. They're realizing that this recycled knack scrap is utterly awful. What we do? Well, if we use Wintergrass, we could bug out the raiding and lag it so much that no one wants to do it anymore, and then we can use that as an excuse, rather than the fact they don't want to do it anyway, because it's utter, complete, total tripe. God. And everything's very balanced in terms of PvP. No, it isn't. Never has been. I love the story progression so much. There isn't any. For God's sake. There is Lich King. We gon' kill Lich King. Naxxramas had nothing to do with anything. Trial of the Champions was a complete contrivance. So, yes, Mr. Alliance, Mr. Varian Rin, and Mr. Garage Hellscream, welcome to the Colosseum. We're going to have a little bit of a chat here to decide exactly how best to prepare our heroes for the task of assaulting the Lich King. How should we do it? Well, I can think of a few things. The first thing that I would do is ensure that we have...
Not 1, but 2 Jormungandr worms.
And what we're going to do is we're going to throw all of our heroes into that, and it will most likely slaughter a huge number of them. But it's okay, because the guys that come out at the end will be strong enough to fight, regardless of the fact that we just depleted our armed forces by about 85 to 90%, because they all got eaten by...
Not 1, but 2 Jormungandr worms.
The inanity of this post is unbelievable. It's been read 14,263 times. And I hope that every one of them realized that this guy's an idiot. I like the zones. Yeah, completely subjective. Christ. The zones in Northrend were better than those in TBC. No, they weren't. 80% of them was frickin' snow. So little originality. I've had it with this guy. I'm not even going to finish this post. What a utter essay on how wrong one single person can be. An indictment of his own stupidity. The fact that this guy is still on the MMO Champion forums and hasn't been laughed off after 822 awful posts indicts more so than him the rest of the damn MMO Champion forums. God damn it, I don't want to be anywhere near them. My name is Total Biscuit. You've been listening to Blue Please here on cynicalbrits.com. Shout out... Oh, God, I'm choking on his awful. Shoutouts for the next 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Send them in the mail at cynicalbrit.com. Send me a message in the IRC channel. You can do that as well over Twitter or in the video chat over on cynicalbrit.com. Do it now! In the meantime, as we're waiting for this, Let's see what we've got. I have a few people I can talk to. The first of them is Hope and Despair. Hi, Hope and Despair. B-Drone's here as well, rocking out as always. Biangan, we appear to have some kind of crazy monster in the channel. Cradulus is preparing for war. Cordain, I can't even see because it's way too black. The Warden trying to bring a bit of colour and class to the channel. Myself, Total Biscuit, who is looking very pasty as always. A crazy staring guy called Optic, which is a little bit disturbing, I must say. We can report him on cam if you so wish. Just click the report this cam button on his picture to get him the hell out of there. Good God. Let's get him. Saracen's dog, which is much more interesting than Saracen. Vaska, who is wearing some kind of hat, by the looks of it. And looks to be incredibly bored with the whole affair. And Hef is doing terrible content. Is that Nexramus? Are you in Nexramus? Seriously, I can't even zoom in to see it. I'm going to full screen it. Oh god, the blurry. I can't see anything. Ah, my eyes! They do nothing! Dear God in heaven. Ah. Right, okay, what else have we got coming in right here? I'm sure we can find something. Mail, Twitters, IRC messages, many shout-outs coming in left side and even side. A shout out to the old Violent Noise crew, still on the Defiance Brotherhood, who I've done a few raids with. Indeed, that's one coming in from Kirov as well. Shout out to Dio. Can I have a song request? No, you can't. Please, Smashing Pumpkins. No, I don't play crappy music. What's your email to send a message? You think about? Okay, send me some damn shouts instead of bloody questions. Shout out to the guild Envy on Ouchendoon EU for being the #1 guild on the server and 20 world something or other. The Violent Noise crew shout actually came from Saracen, incidentally. Sean Caster gives a shout out to his guild Knights of the Round on Alderman US. Shout out to Beery on Gnome Regon US, that's from Puppyzaurus. And an epic shout out to Cradulus for my awesome helmet. Or for his awesome helmet. Too bad, it's me, Blacksmith. I have no idea what to say. A shout out to Gary Coleman, who sadly passed away today. I actually can't remember who that is, but there we go. A shout out to me for Bloodlines Champions from Onin. A shout out to Nim for buying a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360, now playing Tales of Vesperia instead of WoW. Wow, you bought two great consoles and decided to play a JRPG. You're doing it wrong! Honestly, go get Valkyria Chronicles if you're going to play anything like that. Seriously, it's way, way better. Fantastic game. A shout out to the Warden and myself for finding out that we will spawn another future gamer, or Zergling if you prefer. Congratulations to the both of you. I'm done, ladies and gents. I am the hell out of here.